Herzlich willkommen zu dieser Folge von Blockchain in 5 Fragen von der Blockchain Founders Group. Unser heutiger Gast ist Peter Cullom. Peter Cullom ist Venture Capital Investor und wir haben uns über den Blockchain Space aus der Perspektive von Venture Capital unterhalten. Herzlich willkommen zu dieser Folge von Blockchain in 5 Fragen, dem Podcast der Blockchain Founders Group. Heute haben wir eine besondere Folge. Heute ist nämlich Peter Cullom zu Gast und wir werden diesen Podcast auf Englisch führen. Und deswegen switchen wir jetzt mal auf Englisch. Welcome to this episode of Blockchain in 5 Questions, the podcast by the Blockchain Founders Group. My name is Felix Hosse. I'm your host on those podcasts. I am gaining a lot of experience in the blockchain space currently, and those podcasts help also our listeners to get to know this exciting technology. Today's guest is Peter Cullom. Peter Cullom is a VC investor and has gathered a lot of interest actually in the blockchain space over a while. And yeah, thank you very much for coming, Peter. Why don't you introduce yourself for 2 minutes?
Yes, thank you, Felix. Well, I've probably got a rather convoluted journey into blockchain. I've been in venture capital private equity for 30 years now, 15 years as a buyout fund manager with 3i and ECM here in Germany, and the last 15 years as a business angel investing in early stage businesses and startups, primarily in the technology space. And potentially for the next 15 years, I will become a venture capital fund investor, which is less work and more interesting, and diversifying my my investments. So from the mid 1990s, I've actually seen VC investment fuel investment in areas like telecommunications, mobile technology, internet, e-commerce, which has have a significant effect on the way that we work and interact with each other. And this period has seen a change from the centralized business models of the 20th century, 21st century business models of the platform economy, as exemplified by Facebook, Google, and so on, the new economy that we all talk about. And I've asked myself, what comes next? I see in my venture capital funds many disruptive developments going on in digital and deep technology, be up there with quantum computing and machine learning. Well, for me, Felix, 2 years ago, I knew nothing about blockchain technology. And if you asked me what blockchain was, I would probably say it's conjures up for me, as an English native speaker, some kind of dark medieval instrument of torture, block and chain. I know now, of course, that it refers to bundles of blocks of data which are coded irrevocably together in an unchangeable, immutable historical chain of who owns what. And this data is stored and verified not centrally, but in decentralized and encrypted, i.e. secure ledgers run on thousands of computers. It's the technology of the last century. I think actually a better term for blockchain is decentralized ledger technology. That sort of makes it easier for me to understand. The blockchain technology really started with obviously the advent of Bitcoin in 1990 as a store of value. But I feel Bitcoin has become almost a distraction, and the underlying technology is outgrowing what I've often thought has been the often shady and dubious and get-rich-quick world of Bitcoins, although the Bitcoin world is not to be sniffed at with $2.2 trillion of value. And for a long time, I thought that outside of cryptocurrency, the use of the store of value, blockchain technology was a solution looking for a problem to solve. There were no real cases of applications or of significance which normal software could not address. But I've become convinced over the last year or so that the blockchain technology is going to change the internet, the way it is built and used, although probably not as quick as its supporters claim. So what do I mean? What excites me about blockchain technology? I think we'll see the internet evolve to be more an internet of value rather than an internet of information, where users and contributors have direct control of data and applications, without any expensive or inefficient intermediaries. It's all about getting rid of the middleman effectively. So this is the new protocol economy of the blockchain area. And we are seeing it coming through strongly in the last year or so, specifically in decentralized financing and gaming. These are the two areas where I see a lot of investment.
I want to ask you about that. I want to ask you about like which trends do you currently see in the blockchain space? You said decentralized finance and gaming.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've seen a lot of hype around NFTs, especially in the area of digital collectibles and art. And we can talk about that when we talk about NFTs. But I think that the potential of blockchain technology is, first of all, to create a basis onto which assets can be put onto the internet, into a digital world, and that can be traded or exchanged through protocols. And I think where we are at the moment, that base technology has been developed through the development of Bitcoin, and we are now seeing assets being put onto blockchain technologies through protocols of exchange, Uniswap, for example, or through NFTs. I think what's missing are more the applications which would affect our everyday life outside of changes in the financing sector. So I'm thinking of streamlining medical records. I'm thinking of using blockchain technology for trade finance or improving supply chains. I think that is going to be the thing which will finance.
All right. How do you currently see the DeFi space? How do you see it developing?
Yeah, well, the DeFi space is actually one of three areas in which the finance is changing. Because I think conventional banking requires a huge infrastructure to maintain trust between strangers, from clearinghouses and compliance to capital rules and courts. But it's expensive, and it's often captured by insiders. Right. And I think decentralized finance on a blockchain can provide a cheap, transparent, and quick transacting. And I think the real benefit of decentralized financing is actually to bring people into the banking world which are unbanked. And I do quite a lot of investing in Africa, and 66% of African adults are unbanked, and Africa does not have the legacy banking infrastructures that we do. It has a very young population. The average age is 19. And these are early adopters of technology. So I think digital banking and decentralized financing will help to bring many more people into financial inclusion. 30% of venture capital financing in Africa is in the area of decentralized financing.
Interesting. So that's a big area of investment. Do you also see that in elsewhere, like in Germany, for example, or how do you see the landscape there?
I think decentralized financing actually has a number of issues which it needs to address. I mean, it needs to be as easy to use as current banking on an iPhone. I don't think it's there yet. I think it's I think decentralized financing is still very much on-chain, if you use a current word, and to be successful and to have mass adoption, it needs to integrate more into the real world. Right.
All right. You briefly mentioned another hot topic currently, which is NFTs. How do you see the developments over there? What are your expectations for the future?
Yeah, NFT, non-fungible tokens, is part of decentralized finance. Its kind of twin is fungible tokens. But I understand non-fungible tokens to be a digital property deed or any combination of property rights designed for the seller that lives digitally on the blockchain. and can be bought on a financial platform using digital currencies. And these have helped to create scarce digital collectibles. And this kind of reached a crescendo or a highlight early in the year when there was this piece of art by Beeple, this American artist, sold for 69 million. And I think the hype over art has cooled since then, but there's a wider market for NFTs developing. And the idea of issuing a unique token that contains information, proves ownership, and includes some ownership rights has taken hold for other uses. And this could lead to a whole kind of new form of digital economy. But I see three problems, Felix. Apparently, the whole process is a nightmare and expensive, including setting up a digital wallet, funding it to pay any fees, and creating the token and finding a way to convert the proceeds into conventional money is not as easy as it seems. The second problem is energy. Most platforms are exploring how to reduce their energy use. This is one of the drawbacks of blockchain, and Bitcoin processing just takes up so much energy. In fact, last year it took as much energy as small countries like Norway or Netherlands use, and this is has a bad environmental impact. But I think innovation will lead towards more carbon neutral ways of processing these transactions. And the third concern is contract enforcement. This should not be an issue for pure digital assets, but for NFTs that refer to outside assets like properties or patents. This is actually difficult to enforce. Courts may not recognize digital agreements. You can't ask police to act to enforce a contract. So there are issues which will be solved in the future, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that brings together kind of what the trends in the blockchain space, and also what you do as an investor. I guess there's a lot of this investment, talk about it. I found that the perspective very interesting. So who are the people who are currently investing in blockchain firms? So not only using the cryptocurrencies as an investment vehicle, but also in blockchain firms. How do you see that? How is investing in that specialized in that?
Yeah, I mean, funding and operational support for established blockchain companies and the many startups come mainly from venture capital funds. 50% of the financing now going into blockchain technologies are from venture capital funds, and either through cash for equity or through token investments, which is a completely new concept for me. Investing in a token is like investing in a taxi license. This is how Greenfield One explained it to me. The value of the token or the value of the license depends on how many drivers or users you get to use the platform, and only then does the platform or the token increase in value. So it's a completely new concept for venture capital investing, but we are still I'd say at least 50% of the investments is going through equity stakes. It's very difficult to invest in blockchain. Actually, the first venture capital blockchain investment was only 4 years ago, a 12 million fundraise for Money Down from Andreessen Horowitz and Polychain. And since then, the money going into a blockchain through venture capital has increased, but it's still less than 1% of total venture capital funding. So we have to put it into some kind of perspective. But we've seen Andreessen Horowitz create a $3 billion fund to invest solely in blockchain technology. The US is leading the race here. In Europe, we have some quite interesting young but successful venture capital funds like Semantic in London or Greenfield One in Berlin. We're also seeing a pioneering fund of funds being developed by Leonard & Co. in Hamburg to enable German investors like myself to participate in funds like Polychain and Coinbase and so on. So there is movement, but it's still very early days.
Yes, it's pretty much everything right now in the blockchain space. So that was pretty much our interview. And as I always say, the problem with this format is it's 5 questions. I could have asked you 10, but thank you so much for being here. Is there anything, you know, if people want to reach out to you, how do you direct them towards you? Should they see you on LinkedIn, or what's your method that you would like to reach out to?
Yeah, I mean, if people want to contact me, the best way to do it that is through my LinkedIn account.
All right, beautiful. Then thank you so much for your time. I also thank the viewers and the listeners for their time. Next week, we'll come back with another exciting advisor of the Blockchain Founders Group. Then probably in German again. But yeah, this English pilot episode, I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. So thank you, Peter, again.
Thank you, Felix. All the best.
And I'll see you guys the next week.
Yeah,
bye-bye.
take care. Bye.